Alice, thanks so much for sitting down with me. And you're working with the Access to Seed Index. Can you explain in a nutshell what you're doing?
Thank you so much for this invitation. So I'm with the World Benchmarking Alliance, and through the World Benchmarking Alliance, we have the Access to Seeds Index. The index is mainly to connect seed companies, the private sector, to smallholder farmers. And what we are doing is assessing how these seed companies are putting in effort to reach smallholder farmers, mainly in developing countries, where there's usually high food insecurity and also potential for increasing agricultural productivity. Mm-hmm. So that is, in a nutshell, what we do. And so we rank companies on their efforts, on how they're doing. We have our methodology and indicators, and then we provide information to companies through scorecards, and they can learn how they can improve their access to seeds strategies and also activities. So ultimately, our work is to help companies build their business models that are focused on reaching the Sustainable Development Goals.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Can you perhaps share a few of the key findings in the Access to Seed Index?
Yeah, so we just published our third Access to Seeds Index iteration. This is last year in 2021. We assessed 67 seed companies, and that is in 3 regions. So Western Central Africa, Eastern and Southern Africa, and also South and Southeast Asia. So all together with all these companies, and what we are learning is that obviously they're improving in their reach to smallholder farmers, and this is the progress we have been seeing throughout the index iterations. So that is a good job companies are doing in terms of reaching smallholder farmers in remote areas, but they can still do more in terms of how they reach also those areas. So the main things we are learning is that companies are also improving their capacity building activities in terms of how they support after sale activities with smallholder farmers, but there's still a challenge in how they identify needs for smallholder farmer women and also for the next generation of farmers. So that is like one of the findings that we see in terms of how companies are doing. And also companies are doing very well in supporting the local seed sector, but the challenge is that these efforts, they're still concentrated in a few countries per region. So you'll find that 5 to 6 countries attract all the business investments, which is leaving behind farmers who are in other countries. They're not exchanging knowledge. They don't have enough clear feedback loops where they can get back to these companies. So that is like an area where we see companies that can improve more and more right away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It sounds like a really useful effort that you're making. Remind me again, you now indexed 67
companies.
Wow, that's an enormous amount. But this is not the first index you're doing. You have done a few, right?
Yes. So this is the third index we have done now.
One.
Yes.
And do you see an impact from the first index to the now third impact? Do you see companies changing?
Yeah, exactly. So that is what we wanted to see. And if you compare in the beginning, so the first iteration was published in 2016. And the reason why the index actually existed is because there was no insights on what the private seed sector is really doing. So the index wanted to improve transparency. And that is one of the goals I think we have managed to achieve, where now we know where the seed companies are located, what activities they have. And then when you zoom into like our measurement areas, you can see also that particular efforts that they have. It's moving from commitments to now more performance. So that is like a really progress we see in the industry. And then beyond that, there's more awareness on the Sustainable Development Goals, where we see that more companies are moving towards their business models to include Sustainable Development Goals, especially SDG 2, Zero Hunger, which is something that we wanted to do as well. So there's progress definitely in what the index wanted to do. There's still more to do, especially now that we also consider smaller seed companies, especially in these 3 regions. And that is where we see a problem of disclosure still. So the companies still don't have resources or capacity or connectivity to showcase what they're doing. So we don't really have enough content or information to share the correct or like the right picture of what these seed companies are doing. So they might be doing really good, but we are not able to showcase that because of the challenges they face. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when is the next index coming out? 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, so we are now, after the publication year of
Yeah.
2021, we have decided to use this year for us to understand the impact
Okay.
of the index in detail. So look at what we did in 2016, 2019, 2021.
Yeah.
Is the industry changing? What more do we need to do?
Okay.
So with that, then we can understand where we need to move forward. Do we need to change or stay the same? So that's what we want to figure out this year. And at the end of this year, we will be able to give more details on our next publication, what it's going to cover, and then also we want to make it more of a long-term goal, so we will be able to present our 5-year strategy at the end of this year.
Wonderful. So, in fact, the companies have now an early warning. If they want to be, if they need to be more transparent, they better start working on it.
Exactly.
For
So
the next index.
exactly, and also because of this impact here, we are speaking to companies to understand how they use the index, and also we hear a lot of commitments coming from the companies, especially how they're learning about the information flow, where the challenge is usually to get data from the field to the global teams, if it's global companies, or even if it's small companies, how to get this information and share it in a way that tells the best story of what they're doing. So we see companies now saying, okay, actually we realize we don't need to change so much, but we need to tell our work much better, and they think the index is that platform for them.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Alice.
Thank you so much, too. It's a pleasure.